Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's lesson. We are going to look at writing again today. I'm Mrs. Celeste Swart, and I'm going to take you through this. Now, what do we have to look at? We are looking at an argumentative essay. Now, that tells you that you're going to argue a point, so to speak. But this is quite interesting because we're not speaking about a traditional argument, because what is an argument usually? It's a quarrel, it's a fight. It's even a row where people get quite heated up and fight with one another. That's not what an argumentative essay is. It convinces or persuades people of your opinion. You're going to offer your viewpoint, your opinion. It's going to be written formally, well structured. Your opinions must be logically stated. It has to draw a conclusion when you've finished. And what's really great here when you plan, you write your pros and your cons. Now, what are pros and cons? It means it's the advantages and the disadvantages of a topic. So you're going to look at both sides of a question, but you don't have to say the advantages are this, the disadvantages are that. You're going to do that with your planning, and you will mention both sides in your essay. But it's better if you can make up your mind and support your argument that you have with examples. So you see the people in the picture, they're sitting and having a conversation. They're not angry at each other. They're convincing or persuading one another. So let's have a look. What will happen with this? When we do creative writing, we are given a statement. So the topic will be provided as a statement, and this will allow you to decide what to do. Now, it can be pretty tricky because sometimes you find that you both agree and disagree. And when you get to a length that's a bit better than what you write now, because now your essays are quite short, then you can provide both views. But I want you to look at what the body of your argumentative essay is going to do. You're going to develop your arguments. And when I say arguments, I put them in inverted commas because it's not like a fight. You're going to present your evidence, analyze and reason to convince the reader that your statement, your thesis statement is true, why you maybe agree with it. So let's look at this one, and it's the favorite of all. You'll see it doesn't ask you why should cell phones be banned at school. What does it say? Ban cell phone use at school. Now you can agree, you can disagree, or partially agree. However, you need to support the argument with your opinion and draw a conclusion. So you'll find some positives and some negatives, but you have to draw a conclusion. You have to come to a decision about it. So let's have a look at this. Now, I'm not going to start with the introductory paragraph or even the end. Why? You cannot plan an introduction until you have planned your essay. And we are going to use the peel method. It's almost like a orange skin, or if you peel a fruit, that's what this comes from. The P is for point. You're going to make a statement or a point. That's where you say, this is what it is. The first E, you're going to elaborate. You're going to explain why you're making this point. Why do you say this? Then the next E is the example you're going to give, and then the link to the topic. Now, what's interesting here is the first example I do will show you it's going to show you where we have each of these set apart as if it's 4 different points, but it doesn't have to be like that. You'll see that in the second point we're going to make. But let's first look, planning. Your planning can be point form, it can be a mind map, anything like that. Look at some advantages of cell phones. This is not banning them at school, but the advantages of using cell phones. We look at research and resources, because what do we find? That some learners have all of their books on their tablets, and you can have it on a cell phone as well. What are the disadvantages? We have distraction. You can be distracted in the class, that you don't pay attention. It affects your concentration. It affects social interaction, because what happens now? If you have a cell phone, you're not speaking to people, you're not getting to know people, you're not interacting with other learners. It can affect your academic performance because it means you might be procrastinating or you might just not be paying the attention you should. And another disadvantage, these are actually 2 points, but we're putting them together, is cheating and cyberbullying. Those are big no-nos. Now, if we use the Peel method and we look at distraction and concentration issues, let's explain it. That means what could happen here? You might be tempted it should be or check social media, text friends, or play games during lessons. I apologize for the of there, my goodness. Then an example, what happens then? It leads to a lack of focus, you get lower grades, lower marks, and you can't remember so well. And the link is that school should provide an environment free of this distraction. So you could make that into your second paragraph. Remember, not the first, the second. And distraction and concentration could make up part of your opening paragraph. Then your introductory paragraph, of course, is the opening. Things with social interaction. It prevents face-to-face communication. It prevents learners from interacting with peers. And I want you to look at the Peel method and see that the Peel method is used here. It's applied here, but we don't necessarily put it in different paragraphs. And there's a problem with developing essential social skills. Students are isolating themselves because what are they doing? They're not speaking to one another. They're staring at their screens. So banning these would encourage students to build real relationships, to collaborate effectively, to engage in meaningful discussions. Can you see how you build your argument here? You've taken one point that you see is a point you can discuss, and you're using the Peel method to build this argument, to give it some body. You can't just say social interactions are affected because you've said nothing by just saying that. It isn't for the marker or the examiner to fill in the gaps. They're not there to say, oh, I understand where you're going to or coming from. It's not the marker's duty to do that. The marker is there to see what you are presenting. Then let's look at the next one. How does it affect your academic performance? Well, we can say it contributes to increased cheating, plagiarism, and cyberbullying. So, and what will happen if you're cheating? You're going to find that it affects your academic achievements, it causes academic dishonesty, and it is often used for bullying. We see the things at the bottom there. We say, oh, you're a loser. I hate you so much. Get lost. You're stupid. So these are the sorts of things that could also be sent and applied during school. That's going to be a serious problem instead of concentrating on improving your academic relationship and with your get your teacher to help lift you out of this maybe hole where you can improve academically. Wouldn't that be great if we can all do something positive? So get away from the negative, because that is what banning cell phones, what we're looking at, the positive effects of it. Then you can look at this as well, that despite the obvious advantageous use of cell phones at school for research purposes or as a resource, the consequences of the disadvantages far surpass these. What is this then? This would be your conclusion. You're telling them about the positive things, you're telling them about the negative things, and you are sort of wrapping it neatly in a bundle. Now, you're going to find that you write your introduction at the end of your planning and stuff, because what happens with the introduction? The introduction is going to point out these points that you have now found in your planning and you've discussed them. So let's look at the type of thing that can happen. Cell phones have become an essential part of daily life, but their presence in schools has proven to be more of a distraction than a benefit. While technology plays a crucial role in education, allowing students to have unrestricted access to cell phones in schools negatively impacts their concentration, social interactions, and academic performance. You see why I've highlighted certain words here? Those are the paragraphs you've discussed. You've discussed distractions and concentration, social interaction, academic performance, and we haven't even put in there about the cyberbullying, which we've sort of added to the academic performance because cyberbullying will affect you negatively there. So remember what I tell you all the time. What do we have to do? Practice makes perfect. So I'm not leaving you just hanging dry and in the air now. I'd like you to go and try this one. It's so simple. The topic, homework is important. Now you have to go and decide if you agree or disagree with the statement. But what I'd really like you to do is try and agree with it here. So with your planning, you have the positives and the negatives, and then you write your essay. So look at your positives and negatives, even if it's just keywords, and there you already have the topic or the body for your first paragraph in your planning. You must offer your viewpoint. It must be logical. You must draw a conclusion. And we've already spoken about doing advantages and disadvantages. You can present both sides of the question, but you must look at your word count if you have enough space to do that. Use the Beal method. Make sure that in that sense you can really achieve your best writing piece. Write it down and ask yourself after a paragraph, have I argued this point enough? Have I built my argument to say, okay, this is the statement I've made. I am going to explain what I mean with this. I'm going to give you an example and link it to my topic. If you do those 4 points in all your paragraphs, not necessarily in the first and the last, because that's your introduction and conclusion. But if you do it in your other paragraphs, you're going to find, wow, this is actually much easier than I thought. I'm not here to try and tell you which points would tell you homework is important. I've used an example for you, but now I want you to go and think about it. Why is homework important? Make some notes. Think about it. Work this out for yourself. Write your essay or just do your planning. And if you want to, then afterwards you go and discuss it with your teacher. So you are going to remember that practice makes perfect and that you are always going to try your best to make sure that you achieve this. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you have a wonderful afternoon, and I'll speak to you again the next time I do a lesson. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Bye-bye.